They're just jazzed about what they're doing, right? So they're creating in a way for the sake of what they're doing, right? So they're like, oh, I'm building this cool car. I'm building this cool bot. It can do this, it can do that. Then it's taken over to being something that's commercialized, that people can buy. And oftentimes there's a disconnect for the people who commercialize it from the people who build it, right? When it moves to that commercial opportunity, it sometimes takes a life on its own because that commercial opportunity is literally shaping the way the world works. It's creating money, it's creating wealth. And as we know, because we're all human, sometimes when that comes very fast, power, wealth, all of that stuff, if there's not someone in the background or people, groups saying, hey, wait a minute, is this right for us as humans? This is right for us in the world.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Leadership Exchange. My name is Tracy. You can follow me on Twitter at LadyLead or on LinkedIn at Tracy S. Lee. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called This.Labs, and I'm so excited today to welcome one of my chief members, Celeste Turner Hall, to the show. Welcome, Celeste.
Thank you. Welcome, Tracy. Oh,
yes.
I'm saying welcome.
We're so excited to have you. Celeste, you recently became the founder of a company called Shining Opus.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
In March of this year.
Oh my gosh, congratulations, fellow entrepreneur after my heart. Tell us a little bit more about Shining Opus and what you do.
Yeah, so Shining Opus is a growth transformation and growth acceleration consultancy. We specialize in basically helping companies and organizations who are ready for a big pivot really focus on strategies that help their go-to-market infrastructure align with their desires. So whether it is taking advantage of some changes in the economy, going after new customers, launching new products, we really help them really understand how do we actually win. Most companies only achieve about 20% of their growth goals. So my job is to make sure my customers are in that 20%.
Or you're telling me that my growth goals need to be much, 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 much higher.
Yes. With my help.
I love that. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And I know you're really, really passionate about looking at trends, especially with, the work you do here at Shining Opus. It's really important for you to stay ahead of things.
Yep.
So, we recently had conversations about innovation waves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to just kind of learn a little bit more about, what is an innovation wave? When does it start? When does it end? Tell us more.
So I'm going to give you my definition, and you can find a bunch of definitions, but it's technological advancement that actually destroys and bursts economies. Technology really, and it could be described in different ways. Before it was steam. At one point it was water. Now it's AI, biomimicry. It was mobile network. So all of that, right? And so the really important thing is that innovation is so significant that it actually destroys the way we work, the things we want, what customers need, and it really creates what's next. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because in that destruction, some people will get lost, but also some people will find enormous wealth and opportunity. And so I want to make sure that people kind of see what's coming so that they can pivot and be a part of that next wave.
I love that. And so everybody would say, okay, well, you're obviously talking about the AI innovation wave becoming the next thing. Or, in your mind, where are we? Is there an AI innovation wave, and where are we in it, if there is?
Yeah, so there definitely is. And it's expected to end or pivot in about 2045. So arguably it started around 2015, right? So a lot of people are talking about it now because we're all talking about Gen AI. But for those of us that have been in tech for a while, we've been talking about this since about 2012, 2015. And what you're seeing now are the fruits of that innovation hitting the market. Where we are today is, if we look at the next phase, which is the next innovation wave of a fully autonomous world, this is laying the groundwork for that in the same way that the previous innovation wave, which was around digital networks and ICT, laid the groundwork for what we have today. There could not be an AI innovation wave if we did not go through that previous wave. So 2045 is that pivotal time when we'll see some differences, and we'll be hitting that fully autonomous machines, working on machines, AGI, which is now considered theoretical, but I guarantee you somebody's already got, they're a lot further than what they're showing us. You're going to see that stuff hit post 2045.
I love that. And what does that mean for AI? Does that mean it becomes ubiquitous and integrated, or does it fade into the background like electricity?
So here's the path of all big innovations. First, it's cool, right? Everyone knows it. You see it everywhere. AI powered, AI this, steam powered, steam this, you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden it's just there. It becomes the expectation. Customers expect it to be there and they don't care that it exists, you know? So we're going to get to a phase where it's going to be passé to say it's AI powered. It's the expectation of the, just like when we go through mobile experiences, because we've gone through that innovation wave. When we have an experience, we expect it to be connected. We expect it to be real time. All of that's byproducts of that mobile innovation wave, that digital network innovation wave that we just came out of. The same thing's going to happen with AI, right? So by the time we're in 2045 and beyond, it's not going to be a conversation about AI powered Gen AI. It's going to be what's next. It's going to be, okay, you know, I drive up to my local fast food restaurant and a bot is taking my order. A bot might be preparing my order in the back. And the only time we have real human intervention is when there is either a problem, some kind of management or building, right? So we're going to definitely get to that place. It may not be in my lifetime because I'm a little older, but it will be that post 2045-ish range.
Yeah, I love that. I can still imagine, and I don't remember this far back, but you know, phone calls like, "Oh, I'm calling from a cell phone." Right now it's like, well, obviously you are.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. So we look at that and then we look at the job markets,
Mm-hmm.
education, skill development. I mean, just even with AI these days and Gen AI,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can only imagine how education is going to change and what that's actually going to mean for us in the future. But if we look at all of that, what do people need to do to prepare for it? I mean, especially engineering organizations that are out there.
So I really think that upskilling is a big thing, because it costs way more to acquire new talent. And the truth is that if you're not upskilling your talent, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot, because there's not enough people who actually understand AI and all of this to actually hire in. So if you invest in your talent, then you're going to get that. So I think bottom line is there's got to be an investment in upskilling. That's the first thing. The second thing, proactively, if I am an engineer, I personally would be thinking in a few ways. What do I need to know to build AI? What do I need to know to manage AI? What do I need to know to fix AI? And what are the implications for me and what I do, right? Because I'll give you a really good example. Think about before all the big hyperscalers, the cloud infrastructure. Once that became kind of the thing, everyone wanted to have cloud native or use cloud infrastructure, whether it was a private or public cloud. There was a shift, an enormous shift. We had network function virtualization. We had more of a DevOps organization. A lot of things changed. The CTO rose in power. There were CCOs, right, that did not exist before. The same thing is going to be true with AI. So if you have to place your bets on the future, start to think about, okay, what skills do I need today, in terms of managing, creating, or fixing AI. And I might not be the person that's actually doing it, but I need to understand it because I need to be able to speak the language so I stay relevant. Now, if I want to go a step further, I'll invest in my own skills or ask my employer to invest, but to be relevant for tomorrow and to keep up. Because one of the things that's particularly true, Tracy, is that innovation waves used to be 60 years. This current innovation wave is only about 25 years. And they're getting smaller. So because of that, the cycle for learning and the cycle for maintaining relevance is shorter. And so as anyone, whether they're in a technical profession like an engineer or developer, or whether they're in a strategic kind of go-to-market profession, they need to understand how to speak the language and understand the implications on their role. A few things that definitely will happen. There will definitely be less roles as a result of AI, automation, and what's going to happen with this newly autonomous economy. There will be less roles because there will be more efficiency. Now, the question I have to ask everyone is, okay, in a more efficient, autonomous economy, what does that actually mean for what I do today, and how should I be preparing for tomorrow? And that's what I would invest in.
You know, it's funny because this AI innovation wave and kind of the waves that are coming up and the declining population growth maybe aligns perfectly with each other. Yeah. So maybe it was meant to be.
But you know what, Tracy? One thing that stands out to me too, folks who live in rural areas who are very much around working kind of their land, manual jobs, those are going to change significantly too. And so one of the things that I really strongly believe in is that there needs to be an investment there inner city, rural areas where they might not already be working in technology. There may be generations that did manual labor. A lot of that's going to change with this automation and autonomous economy, and those folks are going to be really impacted. So while we might be talking from a engineering and kind of people in the circle that know, right? We see some of the stuff we're seeing because we're living it, right? But the world will, the thing about innovation waves is that they are destructive, but they also create. And there's no innovation wave that ever happened that didn't significantly destroy a set of jobs. What happened though is that people start to place themselves in different areas, and a lot of that happened because they were getting the upskilling and the opportunities that they need. I feel like we're in a different time, that there has to be a concerted effort for that, because AI and the advancement and what it means, not only from a technology perspective, but from a cultural perspective, is none like ever in history, right? And so I think it takes an extra effort in thinking about what that actually means for unskilled labor.
Yeah, and it's I always see things go full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in the sort of more microservices versus monoliths versus whatever, it's it always just kind of goes in a wave, right? But the need for electricians, the need for people working on more hardware is going to become even more necessary as we have more robots,
Yeah.
more software, etc. But I can definitely see people needing to be more tactical with their hands, right? Like in a more real, I guess, non-virtual environment, if you will. So
Yeah.
that I'm kind of excited about. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. So in terms of previous innovation waves, you kind of talked about the cloud innovation wave, if you will. I don't know if we call it that. But how does this one, specifically the AI one, kind of distinguish itself from those other waves in the past?
Yeah. So a lot of that cloud innovation happened under digital networks, ICT, that innovation wave. It's the same, in many ways, the same innovation wave that got us to mobile phones, right? And wearable devices. A lot of that was tangible, right? So you could see it. A lot of what's happening in this AI wave, you can experience it. It might not necessarily be as tangible because it's really about expanding what humans can do, not necessarily what humans can hold, see, or touch, right? So create for me, think for me, right? Versus before, when you think about the cloud wave, it was around, efficiency. I'm going to reduce my data centers. My phones are getting smaller, faster. I can have instant connection, instantly make decisions in the moment. Now, this is taking a bit further, where it's actually saying, okay, this is actually an extension, because remember neural networks, right? This is an extension of the human brain in machine. This is a way for the human brain not to have to do something in a machine. So this is the first time really in history where humans have said, we're going to extend our brain and we're going to have something outside of us do it for us, right? Or we're going to expand what our brain can do outside. Typically, when you think of innovation waves, it's things like, okay, well, I want to drive, or I want to move faster. So I don't want to walk anymore. I don't want to take a horse anymore. I now have a car, right? Or, I want my boat to go faster. I don't want to pedal a boat. I want to train. I want steam. It's always about something physical or a bit more tangible. This is the first time that it is a bit more what I call the intellectual, the brain expanding what humans, which in a way differentiates humans from other animals, right? Our capacity for logical thinking and the things that we can do. AI is the first innovation, if you think about it, that's really put us in the place of, okay, how do we take what's here, what makes us unique, and something out there that can do it for us?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very excited generally about the AI thing. I'll go back to the thing that you said about upskilling your engineers as well. It's interesting when you look at people who are doing education right now in schools, and sort of all these engineers that are just graduating.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of data engineers, you have a lot of AI engineers, if you will, and they understand things like LLMs, SLMs,
Mm-hmm.
basic RAG, fine tuning, et cetera, et cetera. But those of us who have jobs who are more senior,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times don't get that opportunity unless your company's POCing something, of course,
Right.
to be able to actually utilize those skills. So to be able to just again do something basic RAG, or learn about fine tuning or understand it, it's you don't get the opportunity much. However, I will say, having done a lot of this stuff, it's not even that difficult. It
Mm-hmm.
is very much, you know, just another API call, just another
Yep.
database. Like, there is nothing that crazy about how AI is changing from a software perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, in the past year, we've definitely seen the whole, oh my gosh, do I need to know it? People being a
Yeah.
little bit apprehensive, being a little bit scared. But once you truly understand it, right? Like, it's just
Yeah.
like anything. Once you actually understand what's going on, it's just another thing.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like engineers are the one group that shouldn't have any fear, actually.
oh yeah,
I feel like if you
yeah,
can make it through engineering, you should have no fear of it, um, because of what it represents, how it's been developed, and how it's being used, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I do, though, think that the apprehension is part of the challenge, right?
Hmm.
Because to your point, folks coming out of school, they're learning this stuff, right? And if you've
Hmm.
been in your career for a while, you're
Hmm.
probably really great at what you do.
Hmm.
That's why upskilling is so important. And even if if the person's employer won't invest, they should
Hmm.
invest, because it's going to make them more marketable. And then lo and behold, no one wants to sit in a room and not know what's happening, right?
Yes,
Especially if you're a technical leader or supposed to be an expert, you want to know,
yes,
at least be able to speak the language. So I think that investment is kind of a no-brainer, right?
yeah, yeah. It's I think one trend that I've been seeing is that everybody is working with McKinsey these days
Mm-hmm.
to develop a framework for how to talk about AI and
Yeah.
innovation and defining the different initiatives that they are going to invest in specifically. So it's really great to see how the economy and the world is changing. I wanted to take a quick second, though, to
Hmm.
thank one of our sponsors, which is This Dot. This Dot is a company that are trusted by so many amazing companies. We are experts in modern web development and consulting. In today's fast-paced tech world, we see so much stuff happening, but scaling your dev teams and bringing innovative ideas can be really challenging. So that's where this doc comes in. We definitely are playing around in the AI space, doing a lot of POCs for people, helping companies understand what the business value that they can actually get out of AI is, because I think that's the big question.
Yeah.
We want to invest in AI. Okay, how does it align with your business goals? But even if it's outside of AI and just expanding your dev team with professionals or streamlining ideas and project journeys, that is something that we're really excited about. So you can check us out at thisdot.co. That's thisdot.co. And huge shout out to my team at This Dot for sponsoring this episode and just being really committed to advancing the dev community. So
Okay, I have to clap on that.
but back to our episode. So Celeste, I kind of want to talk about leadership as well. You know, we
Hmm.
talk about the idea of investing in your teams, investing as leaders to at least be able to have that conversation. But let's take it back further a bit and just talk about the idea of being able to transition between those innovation waves. So as a leader, how do you prepare for that transition? What do leaders need to do?
I think one of the biggest challenges with leadership is being able to look ahead and being
Mhm.
okay on placing bets about what's
Mhm.
coming. A lot of
Mhm.
times they're focused on the bottom line. Are we hitting our numbers? Oh my gosh! And if you're owned by a PE firm, it's kind of hard. It's even worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to hedge your bets and be comfortable with hedging your bets on what's coming. So that's the first thing. Having a real vision that is based on what the opportunity might be in the future and being okay with that. That's the first thing. And then looking back, secondly, at your organization and asking the question, how might I prepare for this?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I think that what I've seen from a lot of C suite leaders is that they'll have a vision statement, they will have targets for their 3 years, right? And all of those targets are typically based in growth. Well, there's got to be growth enablement, and human beings, at least for now, are a big part of that growth enablement. So the question I always raise is, how are you investing in your growth enablers, your people? They matter, right? The other question I ask, because I see this a lot, is your organization able to actually operationalize growth? So you can have great ambition, you can have great people, but have you laid the foundation for operationalizing that growth? Do you have what you need? Have you set up the processes? Do you have the technology and systems to actually operationalize it? Or are you going to be running around, you know, bumping heads with everybody trying to get things done? Because at some point, if you want to really grow, you have to have all those things in place: a vision, investment in your people, and investment in your operations. So I think that that's big. The other thing that many companies, especially the medium to smaller size companies, now big companies, they will have chief strategy officers. They will talk to people like me, um, and they will have those what if conversations, those scenario conversations. Smaller companies, medium size and below, should be having those same what if scenario conversations about the future, because that's going to help that leadership team pivot their business better, right? Those kind of what if scenarios aren't just for the big guys, the big companies, the Fortune whatevers. That's for all the companies, because what you realize in innovation waves, if you invest at the right time, if you're on the wave before it peaks, then you stand not only an opportunity to survive, you can thrive in that. And we've seen plenty of examples, especially if you think about when software companies were perpetual license and then they moved to SaaS, and the businesses that didn't do it, what happened, right? We've seen that over and over in history. And so it is about looking at the future, taking time to really assess your organization from a people, process, operation, and vision perspective, and making sure that you're thinking through those scenarios about that future.
And I will also say, because we have worked with multiple coaches and, of different types of coaches for different
Mm-hmm.
parts of the business. But Celeste, one of the things that I think is really great for hiring you is sometimes with leadership, we're also busy,
Yeah.
and it's not you telling us what we don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
you reminding us to focus on what we do know and make a plan for it.
Yep.
And I think that's something that people, sometimes get hesitant about hiring consultants for, right? It's like, well, we
Mm-hmm.
already know that.
Yep.
Well, yeah, sure you do, but you're not implementing it. And maybe you
Exactly.
need, almost like an accountability coach, if you will, a strategist to come in and kind of help you set a plan for it. So,
Exactly.
um, I
Yep.
love that. I love that. Um, so, kind of talking about humanity. So, if
Mm-hmm.
we talk about humanity, what role does humanity play in innovation cycles? Like, is it purely reactionary? Do we need to actively shape it? We can talk about legislation as well, right? I know
Yeah.
you and I have had conversations about being a little bit far behind when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
innovation waves.
Yeah. So humanity and legislations are always behind, and and every innovation wave, it's always behind. So what will happen typically is there are people who are experts in the technology and that innovation that's being created, and they're just jazzed about what they're doing, right? So they're creating in a way for the sake of what they're doing, right? So they're like, oh, I'm building this cool car, I'm building this cool bot. It can do this, it can do that. Then it's taken over to being something that's commercialized, that people can buy. And oftentimes there's a disconnect for the people who commercialize it from the people who build it, right? When it moves to that commercial opportunity, it sometimes takes a life on its own, because that commercial opportunity is literally shaping the way the world works. It's creating money, it's creating wealth. And as we know, because we're all human, sometimes when that comes very fast, power, wealth, all of that stuff, if there's not someone in the background or people, groups saying, hey, wait a minute, is this right for us as humans? Is this right for us in the world? Hey, wait, listen, you can't do this with AI, or you can't do this for to the environment. And by the way, that doesn't always have to come from legislation. It should come from legislation and lawmakers, but we have lobbyists, we have all that stuff. But it also should come from humans, like everyday people thinking about and not just using. One of the biggest challenges, Tracy, is that we're so consumption oriented, especially more so after this last innovation wave around digital networks, because everything's in the moment. It's on our phone. Oh, this is now cool. We can do this. I'm driving here. I'm going to pivot there. Oh, I can't get my groceries. Let me go to this Instacart app. But what that does is it makes convenience expected, right? And sometimes we need to step away from the expected convenience and think about, is this right? Is this good? Who's going to benefit? Okay, if we have this innovation happening, what do we need to do for the people who will displace? So it goes back to training, subsidies, whatever. What does it do for the economy? Because it's going to destroy, and I don't think people sometimes get how significant the economic destruction is. It's going to significantly destroy economies. It's going to raise some significant wealth. If we think about, for example, right now, I don't know, has Elon become a trillionaire yet? I mean, if we think about how much his worth has leaped, and let's go through why, because he was on the right part of the innovation wave. So we have Tesla, right? So not only it's green, so in this innovation wave that we're in right now, we have biomimicry, we have AI, we have green tech, and there are a few other things that we have. Elon's literally on all of those waves. So we have Tesla, we have the green tech, we have Neuralink, which is biomimicry and robotics. Robotics also in this wave. I am forgetting one thing, but he has something else. So he's literally in the thick of this innovation wave, and we see how quickly his wealth has risen because of all of that. And one of the primary reasons why we need to talk about social responsibility and make sure that humans are thought of is because oftentimes, as I said, these innovation waves can create an enormous amount of wealth, and when they come into the commercial space, it becomes about creating that next economy, creating wealth, and it's not always about the humans or the human component of what happens in those waves.
Yes, and if Elon could just be my friend, just a little closer, that'd be nice. Give me the key to all the houses you own. Oh, he sold all those houses. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I think he like couch hops or something like that.
You're useless to me, Elon. Um, okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Les. This was so interesting, and just give me so many things to think about. Whether it be humanity, whether it be leadership, and whether it be, oh my gosh, how am I going to position my company to be at the forefront of this next innovation wave?
Exactly.
So thank you. And where do we find you? If we want to find out a little bit more about what you do, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can email me directly at celeste@shiningopus.com. Happy to talk to anyone. You can also find me on LinkedIn. My business is Shining Opus LLC, and I will reach back out to you ASAP.
Okay, well, amazing. Thank you again for everyone who is listening, and we will see you all next time for the Leadership Exchange podcast.
Thank you.